Thanks, love. Thanks, Lubna. Lovely. I had like one of those mornings as well, and then I was like, oh, yeah, it's okay to pause. Amazing. Well, we're going to begin with the lovely, lovely, lovely Anna Maria this morning. Um, just a few moments, however long that lasts, to chat all things human design. You may not have had a chance to watch the workshop, but maybe you did, and hopefully, if you did, you have a question, but there's no pressure. Anna Maria, first of all, thank you so much for doing such a comprehensive workshop on something that I love it and I'm fascinated by it, but the amount of knowledge that you have is, oh, no, amazing. Watched it last night. The amount of knowledge that you have is just incredible because I'm watching it and I'm like, God, how does she know all of that? Because I can't even remember like what applies to the generator, which is very much me, of course. But I tell you what I did love the most out of all of it is that when you said, which is very banal, really, but I loved it all. But this real part that I was like, when you did the people that would like it was so useful to do the people to be like, that's a projector, that's I was like, oh my God, yeah. And then the generator was the generator was the grandma from Moana.
Moana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, if I'm not her in a few years' time, then I've wasted my life. Like I love that you chose her. So thank you. Anna Marie, did you have anything extra that you wanted to start with and just introduce and talk to before we begin?
Um, no. And as a generator, I love responding to things. So
Okay.
you, I mean, in we're talking about money and abundance generally, but money today, right? So there is a lot to discover through human design. But I think that I work best when I respond to either questions or just yeah, just give me give me some foreplay, please, and then I will go on.
All right, foreplay first. Love that. Does anyone have any questions for Anna Maria on what they've watched or or any reflections even that she could be with? There's no pressure. You can unmute or you can put it in the chat.
I have a question. Just I did the test on the website, um, and it gave me like a map that you've explained. Obviously, I didn't watch the second half of the recording because I think this is when you talk about the elements. Um, yeah, how do you know which type you are based on your test? Can you know that?
So by looking at it, you can see which centers are connected, which centers are colored in, or which centers are white. And then there are certain configurations that will, when you have a little knowledge about human design, you will know, okay, that's a generator. For example, if you have the sacral, which is the from the bottom, the second square, if it's colored in, you are either a generator or a manifesting generator. It should tell you the type, the test. Did it tell you what type
Um,
you are?
I don't know. I don't think it did because I need to fill sections, but it did give me a map based on my birth charts.
Okay, so if you send it to me, I can tell you, or you could just send a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think I'll do that. And also I need to look into it a bit more, like just to see if I can figure it out by myself. But it would be nice to know if we're gonna talk.
Okay. So I think just generally when you start looking at your human design, I think the type is one thing that if you start playing with, it can bring so much difference to your life already and so much abundance because that's how your energy is naturally, innately is working, and that's how you are coexisting with people around you and the world around you and how you affect people and how you're affected. So I think that's a massive thing. And your energy is the how you are designed by energy that stays with you for your whole life. So I think it's worth learning about it a little bit to help yourself and help the universe help yourself, help you co-create.
Mm. Mm. Nora said that turns out that she's a generator and husband is a manifesting generator. Um, Nor, did you have any reflections on when that came up, or have you shared that with your husband that he's a manifesting generator?
Yeah, I did. It was quite eye-opening, and we also tried it for our kids.
Mhm.
So my eldest is also a manifesting generator, and my daughter is a manifester, which is it was mind-blowing because that's how I was describing her the whole time to my husband. I kept telling him, Rumi is kind of like a blender with no lid, and she's just doing what she wants to do, and it's like really hard to tell her to tell her no to something. So when I read the description for manifestor, I'm like, there it is. I mean,
Mm.
I'm happy we figured it out because we would have maybe we would have, I don't know, like just went about it the wrong way. uh, Maybe we were trying to act like the same way we act with our son, but she's totally different. So I was happy I read that.
Yeah, that is, yeah, thanks for sharing. Like, I'm a generator. My husband is a manifesting generator, like yours, and my son is a manifestor, like your daughter. And so you have like, and between the four of you, you have three life force generating beings, and your daughter is the one who is she needs a very different way of resting, or she will have very different cycles of resting and recharging, and very different ways of doing things from you, especially because you, as a generator, you have the tendency to start something and just see it through and just move through it, as opposed to manifestors who start things and they are not designed to finish everything they started. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, that was a gem of an information, honestly. And also when I read mine and my husband's, which are very similar, also a lot came up. It's very accurate, and that's what drains my energy. And it's so weird because I never really could explain to people like I have this stream of energy that's nonstop. It's always there. It's always moving, but at the same time, in a split second, I can be completely drained and I can be completely exhausted, which is really hard to explain and put together. And yesterday, it finally made sense.
mm, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
And it also helps with partners. Like when I learned that my husband is a manifesting generator, it made so much sense. Like, oh my God, that's why.
Yeah,
And life just became less annoying.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel. I'm on the verge of life becoming less annoying on that front.
Yeah. We're both going to get to the same results, but in a very different way. So I am, like knowing that he's a manifesting generator, I made peace that, okay, this is his way of doing things, and that's fine. And I'm just minding my own business and learning to accept his energy.
Mm, mm.
Okay, Lubna says manifesting generator, right? That's a beautiful one. Is there anything that you'd like to know about it?
So many things, but yeah, I think uh what would I like to know about it? I feel like I want to do like Noor, look at all my family and then see how we can
Mhm.
all work together to have the best outcome.
Okay. So can I give you some themes that as a manifesting generator you might find in your life, like shape-shifting, pivoting, um, doing multiple things at the same time, or being um, fired up by multiple things at the same time and not necessarily finishing them, maybe returning to them, but not necessarily finishing them. And it's absolutely fine for you, for your energy. Going from 0 to 100 miles per hour in seconds, just like you have this, yeah, I'm doing it, and just going it. And then skipping steps, while a generator might like go through all the steps because this is how I get there. You are jumping, and it's just the way of making things happening faster. So that's just some of the many things that describes a manifesting generator.
So I'm all over the place basically all the time.
Well, if that's how you translate it, then okay, yes.
Because I'm a fire sign, so fire kind of reflects that energy. Like it's like very volatile and it's everywhere and it's like, and I'm a triple fire in my birth chart. Like I have three like very main, I don't know which ones, but three of them are fire. And yeah, I can relate to that. And I think without doing the birth chart of the human design of my husband, he is someone that cannot skip any step. And it really makes us clash like so much because for me, I'm like, dude, you can't like you need to skip steps and go ahead and go back and you need to be flexible because otherwise it's like it can be exhausting. Like I get exhausted for him. And maybe he gets exhausted for me. So it's like it's funny, right? Like
Yeah, that's your answer there. Yeah, yeah. So for your energy, that is what feels most natural. But if he is a different energy type, it will make his energy want to work and be expressed in a very different way. But that's just the type. So there are so many other things in human design, and it's always needs to be read in context. So I just picked out some of the themes. But if you bring in astrology, if you bring in your fire signs, that adds to the whole story and the flavor as well. Yeah, Saima. Hi.
Funny. I didn't think to like check what my partner's is, and I just checked, and it's like the exact same as mine. Like he's also sacral generator with like 3-5, like basically almost everything is the same.
Okay, that's very interesting.
And I would have like never guessed that. Like that's quite a surprise because I think well, I thought we operate in different ways, but I guess maybe we don't as much as I thought. And we do spend a lot of time together.
Okay.
We've done since we met. What are your thoughts on having such a close match to your partner?
It's so then you can feel each other in the similarities as in the type and how much energy you have. Your profile, you said you both is 3-5, so that's lots of trialing and erroring in life. But then the differences will be in what kind of centers you have different, or the channels or the gates. So you will have different flavors of life. And when you have similar charts, it still doesn't mean that you exist in the same way. Even if you have twins, even if the whole chart even if it's identical, you will have different inputs from life. So then you will have differences, how you translate that through your energy, through your design. So even if you have the twins, it's you won't have the same life experience, and then your energy will be expressed differently. So for you, I would look into first of all, I would look into your centers, how they talk to each other.
Yeah, I think all of our centers are the same.
Okay.
There's a few numbers within the centers that are slightly different.
So then if you have the same centers, then your husband, then you can go deeper. Then you look at the gates, which gate is on, because then that will alter the expression of the center. Or you can look at the planets, like do you have the same sun, conscious sun on the right hand side? When you have the numbers, the top number will be the sun, the conscious sun. So if that's the same, then your husband's, or is it different? Then it brings a different kind of life purpose for you, for example, than to him. And that's already something to explore, how that worked together with your husband.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's
Yeah, you're welcome.
interesting.
Or one more thing, sorry. If you look on the left-hand side, which is usually colored in red, The top is still the sun, but that's the unconscious. And then underneath is the unconscious earth. And that is the gate that you have in an unconscious earth talks about what's grounding your body the best in this life. So it's worth exploring for your own grounding as well, but for your partner as well. So whether he needs something else to ground himself, or you can if it's the same, then you can create something that works for both of you, some nice ritual that you can both do together.
Yeah, both of those for us are different. And then there's like two underneath that. What are those with like an upside down U?
So you have the North Node and the South Node. From astrology, it's very similar in this context, the North Node and the South Node with astrology. So North Node would be something that you live out in this life, and something that you're pulled towards, like almost like in a karmic way, that this is what you need to learn in this life. And the South Node is what you brought from your past life, and you need to let go of it a little bit because you already mastered that in your previous life. In terms of human design, your North Node comes into a bigger picture from the age of 40.
Okay. Because those two for us are the same, but the other, yeah, the sun and the earth are different. So that's interesting as well. And my daughter's a manifester.
Manifester, okay. So again, she will need a different, because both you and your husband, you have the sacral on. So that means that you have this life force energy generated, which she borrows from you and amplifies for herself, but she doesn't have constant access to it as opposed to like you and your husband. So she will get tired in different ways. She will need rest in different ways. Like for a generator, your energy just goes when it's done and you need to sleep. But for her, she needs more winding down, more space and time to let go, empty her sacral, empty that energy that she borrowed from others around her.
And what about, she's also 3/5 and we're both 3/5. Is there
Okay,
any?
so then you can help her because you already know what it means to go through the trial and errors of life and having these ups and downs moments and being out in the arena of life. And so on one hand, it's the gift of it is that you understand how challenging that can be, but you also understand what gifts it has, so you can teach her and help her navigate it. The challenge or the invitation for you is to let her go through that, not to be overprotective, not to be over controlling, not to micromanage, but let her experience, let her have those negative moments that we would put in a negative box, because her energy needs to go through that. And that's how she creates then wisdom for herself and learns in life. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing. Carla, we were just discussing human design. I don't know whether you had a chance to. Oh, amazing. Do you have any questions for Anna Maria? No pressure, but just so that you have a chance to ask anything.
I'll probably do. Hi, everyone. Sorry for being late.
Not at all.
Solo parenting this weekend, so it's been a bit manic.
Wow, that's a lot.
I will definitely have some questions, but probably once I listen a bit to the conversation, it will trigger something.
Okay.
You can also send it in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, amazing, Anna Maria. I just feel like I think it would just be really useful. I think I need to go into it more, and like hearing Simon ask those questions as well. Just reminds me like how much more I need to go into it for mine, especially because when you were speaking to the twins, I think that was my question, but you kind of answered it, because you know they're the same, like essentially their charts are the same, but yet like they're so very different in so many areas. And one of the key themes that comes up for one of the twins is frustration. Like she gets frustrated all the time, like really quickly, and she cannot deal with it at all. It's like zero to I've lost it. And I recently worked out that in the morning I have to make her like a morning basket with like things to help her wake up with, and includes food. Because if she doesn't eat and she doesn't just have like a gentle wake up, she will just scream. Like it's like something will annoy her within 30 seconds. It's like, I've lost the trousers that I put down last night, or I want to find this button from 2020. Do you know what I mean? It could be anything, and it's like she'll find something, and then I can't deal with it. So frustration is a key theme, but it's not for Paloma. So it's really interesting. I think what I need to understand is how and why their charts can be so different, even though they were born very similar time. I think that's what I'm confused about the most, is why they're so different, yet their charts show similarities. So you kind of were touching on that.
Yeah. So you can go into, but you can literally just compare it. Is everything the same? All the gates, or the channels, the planets. And even if so, they will still have different experiences. Like, they won't always be in the same place, listening to the same people. They will interact with life in different ways. So then maybe one of your twins hears something and it really makes sense to her or triggers her, while the other one wasn't there, or she just didn't care. And then we'll already create difference in how their energy will then express, how the energy will respond to that.
Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, really useful. Anna Maria, can you share how people could explore with you? I know you said it in the video, but just another time, just to share how the sessions could work if someone was to come and like get on a call with you and have more of a deeper dive.
Yeah. So I do human design readings for mothers. That could be for the mother, or that could be for the child, or comparing their two charts. And it's an hour, it's £70, and themes come up. So we can look into specific themes through the design, or it can be a more general reading. It can be a one-off, it can be more, depending on how deep one wants to go. And it helps with not just coming back to yourself and figuring out who you actually are underneath all the shoulds and the needs and the must, and all the what world tells you, but it also helps to understand how your child is existing in this world based on their energy. It helped me massively with my son, and he's only 2.5, and I used it in weaning. I used it in just getting to know him, and in mothering. It's been a huge gift and anchor for me.
Yeah, amazing, Anna Maria, amazing. Amazing. Carla had a question. We were touching on it, but it'd be useful for Carla just to hear again. It's about her family dynamics there. If you could just touch on it one more time, Anna Maria, that would
Was that in the chat? Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Family them. Yes. So so when you have with groups, there is this thing when 3 to 5 people come together, then the energy field changes in human design, and they call it the penta. And some human design readers ignore it. Some human design readers are obsessed with it. What I'm doing is I am focusing on how the mother and the child works together, or the differences are, and how they can flow together more in harmony. So when you know the human design of your family members, it helps to really put in perspective how they need to be expressed and how they do things. And I'm just trying to figure out whether you have a very specific thing that you are interested about or just generally, because I could go on forever. So,
No, I find that very fascinating. But what was funny for me is that we're all manifestors and generators. It just happened that, so I'm a generator. My eldest son is a generator. My youngest is a manifestor, and my husband is a manifesting generator. So it was surprising to find that it was these specific attributes. Of course, I know we have our charts with the more detailed charts, and maybe this is too specific what I'm asking. Perhaps it's best to have a session separately. But I was wondering, basically, I know that generators are big doers and manifestors are more like strategic. I'm really simplifying it a lot. I know it's much more intricate than that. But in terms of like a mom as a generator, how don't you overpower, let's say, a child that's more, in their I see Naomi
yeah.
laughing.
Yeah, you need to let the generator, sorry, as a generator, you will have this ongoing energy, and the manifested child will not. So, what I
And also my eldest so it's like Sharif has me and Jamil both as generators, his dad is more kind of like a balance between all everybody's energies, but how do we kind of create more harmony is what I'm trying to say, basically.
The biggest difference for what I would touch on is that three of you are sacral beings, which means that you have the constant energy, and the manifester is a non-sacral, so won't have this constant energy, it's just borrowing from you. So to create harmony, you need to be mindful as the mother how to let him or her, sorry, I didn't.
I have two boys.
So how to let him, the manifestor boy, have his own space so he can clear his energy and not be overly hyped from the three sacral energy types around him. And that can help with creating harmony and give him space to lead, give him more freedom. He needs more freedom than the generator child. He needs more sense of initiation and authority. And it can sound a bit scary with children and toddlers. Of course, you need to have healthy and safe boundaries, right? But within that, how can you let him lead? How can you let him make some choices that feels that, oh yeah, I am the little leader here. But definitely letting him also take him to nature a lot, let him be alone in a space so that he can clear his energy and just wind off the constant energy.
It's funny you say this, Anna Maria, because he's just 6 months, but he can very much be on his own. Like my other son was nothing at all like this. He can sit in his crib or sit outside under a tree or just like look at birds and he's just like super, super chilled as a baby. And when it gets very energetic at home between me and my elder son, it can get a bit sometimes he just like starts crying because I feel like he likes quiet. Like, so if his brother will come into the room and he's a bit more high pitched or he's a bit more, he'll start crying. I feel like he really needs it's gonna sound strange, but he already kind of like puts boundaries as a baby. And it's very intriguing to me how his energy is with his brother, but I'm very interested to see how growing up they will start interacting, because one is very high driven, high energy, almost like doesn't know how to calm down, and the little one, I can feel he's very strong, but he's much more, it's like a quiet kind of force, a tranquil kind of force. It's a very, very energetic, but in a very more, I can't find the proper word. I'm sure that you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm mindful to, because there's also a 5-year gap between them and, older brother, little brother, not to fall into like these very generic broader dynamics and role playing. So to kind of give him some empowerment, because he seems to be working on a very different vibrancy than the rest. So I'm curious. This is basically what I was trying to say, because my eldest is still quite little, but how to explain that he needs to respect the different pace or the different like the more quiet rhythm. It's
Yeah.
difficult to explain this to a almost 5-year-old.
Yeah, with big energies,
Yeah, without feeling like, you're constantly like irritating or aggravating the little one, basically.
Give him other things to engage with, so then he can go on in other areas or go on with other little projects. And as a mom, just to have a generator and a manifestor boy, for the generator, I would invite you to, throughout the years, to teach him that he doesn't have to go on just because have the energy. He doesn't have to do everything. And with the manifestor, let him not go on, because he will start things but he won't be interested to finish everything. So don't punish him for not finishing things.
I think Saima had something to say.
Mhm. I can see your Lubna, I can see your comments. I wonder if all Scorpios are manifestors. I wouldn't say all Scorpios are manifestors, but that's an interesting connection. What made you make that?
Yeah, before I talk, I feel like Saima raised her hand and I don't want to speak before her if she has something to say.
I think it was raised before, and then I think it just
I
went.
was okay. I was from before, sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, it's funny hearing Carla because Carla and I were pregnant together and we were just birthed 2 weeks apart, and her describing Sharif sounds like she's describing Dylan, and it's like it's so beautiful because like I thought I had an easy first child, but actually he's a handful. And guess what? He's like me. So I can relate to what Naomi is saying about her daughter. Like I feel like I was a very, very difficult child. Like I can just sense it in me that I was um like Sol. Basically, the thing is that what I'm loving about looking at this and looking at birth charts in general, Sol and I are both Aries. And he triggers me a lot. Like he triggers like so much. Like I'm like, oh my God. I have to be always in a very like calm and very good place so I can mother well with him. But when I'm about to have my period or I am emotionally not stable, like we feed each other like the worst, and then we ramp up, and then there's only Johnny that can fix things. And I'm so grateful that he works from home because sometimes I like run at in his office and I start crying and I'm like, I need you to take over. Like I can't anymore. And yeah, I just Johnny's a projector. I did it quickly. I don't know what that means, but and it's funny seeing like the points that they're putting like he's basically uh his success is his thing. Dylan, it's peace. Uh Me and Sol, it's frustration. It's exactly the same thing. Me and Sol, like we're all about like, yeah, I don't know. I just find it fascinating to see how human design can actually, if you don't know anything about triggering or things like that, how it can help you understand and have compassion for each inner child and for, yeah, have compassion for each one of us. And I think I feel like maybe I feel like manifesting generators take a lot of space, might be taking a lot of space. I don't know. I feel like Sol and I take a lot of space in the family already, and we're taking space and space, and Johnny is more and Dylan is more. I don't know. I might be wrong, but it would be good to understand as well, like how the dynamics um can even out in a family. But I guess that's a whole reading.
I don't want to hijack this session. So what I would just suggest that you look into your emotional centers, who has defined and undefined. That can hold some answers to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd look into it more deeply and then maybe have some questions. I don't know if I can send them to you, Anna Maria, but maybe I'll do it afterwards. But yeah, I need to feel like I need to read it properly. Thanks.
Thank you, mamas.
Cool. Love it. Very much chat. And yeah, just yeah, exactly, Carla. It's so fascinating. And to have Anna Maria who specifically focuses on how the mother and the child interact. I hadn't come across that before Anna Maria was speaking to that. And I think that's such a gift to have Anna Maria in this space. What a beautiful workshop, beautiful PDF. I was really, really grateful to be able to have that time with you, Anna Maria. So thank you so, so much for delivering that for us. Um, yeah, and I hope that could be delivered to others. You know, I hope that you can share that with others as like a masterclass, as like an intro. I think people will really, really, really get because it's just sparked. Like you can hear the conversation, and it just really sparked something in us. So thank you. Amazing. We're going to just come into the body with some VU breathing, which was on the handout, some as like as part of the practices that I really like to rely on. So we're going to do it together. You'll hear me do the VU, and then you can just do the VU in your own time, and then I'll mute myself so you can do it. So find yourself in that like really beautiful rooted space. Maybe it's changing positions. Notice what your body needs after that chat. Yeah, giving Anna Maria time just to come back to herself and you know do what we need. And maybe you come back to the item that Lubna invited you to be with at the beginning of the call, or maybe it's just to have your eyes closed. And in your own time, what VU breathing looks like if you haven't done it before is that we take a lovely inhale into the body and then we use the VU and we see how deep we can get with the VU breathing. I like to try and imagine that the VU and the vibration stems from the root. Like I can literally feel my labia vibrating. That's what I want. I want it to go that deep. So we'll give ourselves time to be in that space. So I'll cue you and then you can begin and we can just do it together for a few breaths until you feel complete. Yeah, inhaling and beginning. And keep going in your own time. Keep going as long as you need. And if you come to a level of completion, pausing and noticing the vibration in the body. Notice the body, notice what you need in this space. Yeah. And while we're here and pausing, I'd love you to have a think about the journey so far. So as we land in week 5, and I'd love you to have a think about 2 things. The first thing is something that you feel at the moment feels like a really big takeaway, something that you're like, oh, that's such a big takeaway. And you're welcome to share it or you're welcome just to keep it for yourself. And something that you feel you need more of in the space, something that you really value from the space and you need more of, or something that you haven't had from the space yet that you'd like to see. So an open share around anything that I can be of support with and adjust so that you feel even more supported and held as we journey through the last few weeks together. And the invitation is to either unmute or pop it in the chat. So something that is like, oh, such a good takeaway so far, or something you've implemented and you're like, oh, that's been so great. There may not be anything, but welcoming that thought or share. And something that you're like, oh, I want more of that, or I could do with something like that, so that I can be of support for you. In your own time, coming into the space and just being. And doing as you need, if you need a break, whatever's needed. Hmm.
Can I share? I am now on fire. My sacral is just responding to everything.
Go immediately.
My takeaways are just how much difference it makes to be held and have the connection and hear other women share. And it's just a reminder that I'm doing fine. It's a reminder that I'm enough. It's a reminder that I'm not alone. So that's a huge. And also all the little practices that you share, and I put quote to quote little because we have the tendency, or I used to think that it has to be the perfect environment, the perfect Zen ritual, the setup and the crystals and everything. But no, it's how you meet yourself in the messy middle of it and how you can use that, remember using that. And even if I snap and yell and just, roar, but then next time it will be less. And maybe there won't even be a next time after a long time. But like how these little things that we deem little makes so much difference. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, exactly that, Anna Maria. Exactly. Is there anything that you feel you'd love to see more of in the space, or something that you would love to experience more?
Right now, I feel everything is a perfect combination in a harmonious way, so I'm good.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that, Anna Maria. Thank you. Yeah, I want to make sure that we're feeling as supported as we can. Like, this time is precious. Our time is precious, So I want to make sure that I'm delivering on every angle. And yeah, the small things, like you, I felt the same. Like, it had to be perfect, everything, and that's very much me. Everything has to be perfect and everything has to be great. And actually, that wasn't working for me. Well, it doesn't probably work for many of us because we don't have that time and space anymore. So yeah, the small wins are great, and noticing and allowing for the children to notice that those small practices have to happen. I think is such a gift as well for the more harmonious time. And like you say, we can still rage and we can still shout. I mean, my washing machine broke yesterday and I was not feeling great at all. And then afterwards, I took a minute, and then my son came to me and was like, "Hey, are you okay, mummy?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you know what? I'm not great." I actually said to him, "I'm not great. My washing machine broke and I'm just not feeling that today." And he stroked my knee and he was like, "Yeah, I get that." And that was it. Just that little connection, rather than these big things, and then there's no repair. And I think it's when they see the repair happening for ourselves, they can be in that conversation with more ease, rather than what I grew up with, which is like, if there was a rage at a broken washing machine and my parents like losing their shit over it, it wouldn't feel like I could go near them for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? And I think like that's how, yeah, those practices matter, I think. So thank you for sharing that. Um, Carla, my biggest takeaway was breaking free from the conditioning that as a professional designer, the way I embrace creativity is not unilateral and predetermined. I don't permission to explore new territories, new ways, new environments, to embrace the messiness and let the process guide the outcome, both in work and life. Oh, I love that, Carla. Yes, I love that so much. I love that um I don't know because I've never been a professional designer, Carla. But this conditioning of yeah, that there's creativity and that it must happen and it must unfold in certain ways, and allow, like what Anna Maria is speaking to, that messy middle more. Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm so pleased to hear that. Yeah, amazing. Nora says, what is most helpful Well, actually, Carla, is there anything that would be of more support for you as well, moving forward? Okay. Thank you. Nor, what is most helpful are the practical examples being shared, whether in the weekly video or what the mamas are sharing here. Yeah, exactly. I just love an anecdote. That's for me where I'm like, oh, oh, that applies. Nothing is just up in the air and abstract. Exactly. Like there are real life routines and examples that I can actually apply or inspire from. Oh, thank you so much, Nor, for sharing that. It makes so much sense. Like the creativity video you did. Okay, great. And Nor, if there's anything that I can be of more support with, please just let me know and share. Simon says, I'm enjoying the regulation practice and journaling, which has taken me into deeper exploration, self-exploration, and being held in that. Great. I'm so glad that the journaling has supported you, and like Anna Maria, the regulation practice is so great. More support. I'm not good at email, so more updates within the WhatsApp. But that may be just me. Yeah, I could definitely do that, Simon. I could put it in the email. I'm an email gal because I find WhatsApp overwhelming. So I can definitely happily do that. So I can put more, I'll put the weekly, I have 50,000. Okay, Simon, yeah. I don't have that, so I can see how that would be overwhelming. So let me put because I don't want to overwhelm people with with WhatsApp if that felt overwhelming. But if someone's inviting that in, then great. I can put in the weekly little reminder of what we're focusing on and the video, and I can put that all into a WhatsApp, and then you've got that. Oh, great. Who's the same here? Okay, Lubna, fine. Great. Let me do that then. I will put that into a WhatsApp moving forward so that we have that. That's super useful to know. Really useful feedback. Great. I will definitely be doing that. 50,000. Yeah, that's a lot, Simon. God bless. Maybe something to do with moving the side. Maybe, Anna Maria. Maybe. Okay. So yeah, because that is interesting because I have to go through all my emails. Like I couldn't deal with that, Simon. I'd be like, oh my God, no. I have to be like, everything is immediately removed from my inbox. Okay, so let's talk about money today. I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I think we shy away from it a lot. And I think it kind of gets bracketed into two, I don't know, I see it as two things. It's like we don't talk about it. And if we do talk about it, we just want to make out as though we have a shit ton of it. And everyone's like orgasming through like $1,000 and all having the best time, right? And I follow people on social media and I feel myself contract and I feel myself really having to tend to myself if I follow someone where I'm like, I want to hear what she has to say around how she makes a shit ton of money. But then I'm also like, oh, I don't know how I feel about her talking about the money. And why don't I make that kind of money? And so then I spiral when someone talks about it in that way. And over the years I've recognized the patterns and I've recognized my own money beliefs and my own money stories. And I work with a really great coach on money and nervous system work for myself and my business. And I realized that I just wasn't ready for that chat. And that's okay. And so that's what I really want to invite you into today is that you're not necessarily going to be ready for this chat as it is today, or you might just want to very much sit back and just be part of the conversation as and when and dip in, or you may be like, oh, I'm all in today. Your money situation will be very different to another woman's money situation in this space. And I'm also very, very aware that I come from a very privileged background with money. Even though still I find money a challenge, I still come from a level of privilege. And so I feel that I don't have a real world rounded view of money either from those who don't have the experience that I've had growing up. And so it's really hard to access that as well. And it doesn't matter the amount of reading and trying to bridge the gap. I try to bridge gaps here or there in my business, and then find that that hasn't worked for my business in terms of trying to meet those who can't afford the space that I create in certain spaces that I create, and then trying to meet those who can afford it. And it's just been such a messy like unfolding for me over the years. So I'm certainly not here as any money guru, as any oracle of what is. I'm here in that messy middle still, but making it work for me from my level of privilege that I've obviously come from. And so I really just want to do that like note, because I don't know where everybody is at. I don't know what everybody's reality is. But I also do think it's really important to share today and to be heard and to be held if we feel welcome to do that. So that's kind of how it's going to flow. We're going to do our own mapping of money, and we're going to sort of feel into that. And then we're going to have an invitation, and rather than breakout rooms, I think today it would be really beautiful if people felt welcome to have some time allotted for each person to share what's coming up for them around money. And I just feel that it would give us something really tangible to hear other people's experiences and stories, and give something really beautiful to take away today. And then leave feeling abundant in terms of the community of being held through the reality of where we're at, and how money feels and lands for you. So yeah, that's kind of the flow. So we talked about this in the video. I tried to use some anecdotes because I find it really fascinating where our money stories kind of come up, from our own parents and our own family and our own experiences. And every time I land with family members, money will come up and you'll hear money. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm with family members, there'll always be some level of money chat at some point. I don't know if this happens for you, but there's always something. And for my family, it's always lack. Oh my God, it's always lack. And so I really loved there's like some kind of stat, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like the number of people that you hang out with and their money story impacts your money story, and how you feel abundant. And what I find really interesting is that over the years, I definitely vibrated towards people who had that lack mindset, and I would internalize their stories and I would remain in that lack mindset. And then over the years, I've tried, not on purpose, but as in what's happened is I've tried to change my lack mindset over the years. And then as a result of that, I've ended up with people with not a lack mindset. And actually, really recently, when I changed to the like children to home ed, I met a woman who has the opposite of a lack mindset. She's just like all over making money and home edding her children and does really fucking well. And I'm like, oh, all right, and so you kind of feed off that. And then when I land back with my family, I'm like, and so yeah, I think it's really hard to navigate it because of all the vibrational levels that can come into play and who you're with the most as well. I can't remember what the stat is, but it's like a certain number of people, and those initial people will have an impact on your money beliefs. So we're going to do body mapping, and I don't know if you've bought paper, but the invitation is to either do it on paper or you can just do it by being in your body. Depends on where you're at and how busy you are this morning. But I invited you to bring in like colored pens if you wanted to, or pencils, or have whatever you want near you. And the invitation is going to be, we're going to sort of be with what's coming up in the body through some money statements that I'm going to give you. And some of these money statements are going to be stretchy money statements where you're going to be like, don't know about that one. And some of them are going to be like, oh, love that one. And you're going to feel where it is in your body and what lands in your body. So, for example, I might give a money statement of tomorrow I'm going to end the day with making an extra £10,000 in my bank account tomorrow. That's going to happen tomorrow. And where does that land when you feel it in the body? And then you're going to be with it and be like, where does that land in my body? Where am I feeling that in my body? And then you're going to get that out, if you fancy it, by writing it and just like drawing or writing or coloring on your body, what comes up. So you might have like I don't know, like a traffic code where you're like, red is contraction, green is expansion, and orange is that messy middle where you're like, oh, I kind of can feel it. I'm there, I'm getting there. And then you might color areas of the body. Whatever feels resonant for you, get creative or whatever feels good for you. But what I want us to do at the end of it is have our body kind of drawn, and then on the body, we're going to start around the body and in our auras and wherever, we're going to start to map the tension, we're going to start to map the desire, and we're going to start to map the expansion. So I'm going to put that in the comments. So what we're mapping is lost my throat, tension, which is that, you know, contraction, and then desire, which is that messy middle where you're like, oh, it's there, and then expansion where you're like, oh, I'm already all over that, babe. I feel that. And that might be in kind of like color coordination of like traffic lights kind of vibe. Maybe. So to do this, we want to be in like a really like abundant, comfortable place. So we're starting out well. So it might be for you that you're like, oh, I feel really good here, Naomi. Actually, sitting up, being in this position feels really good. Don't need to be anything else. Don't need to do anything else. Or it might be that you want to lie down. It might be that you're like, I want to lie down and then I just want to write. Or I don't really want to write today. I just want to feel it. Whatever feels where your energy is at. I want to meet you with where your energy is at. And yeah, you can have your camera on or camera off. And I reckon we'll be here for about 15 minutes, just going through these money, these like money statements, and then I'll read them off, and then we'll see what happens on within the body and see if the body can speak to it. Does anyone have any questions about that? Have I explained it? I feel like I'm not explaining myself very well today. Okay.
I have a question, Naomi. Did you say that we have to draw a head and a body?
Yeah, draw your body if you fancy it. Draw
You
your
can,
like, well, because then you can be like, oh
uh,
gosh, Simon's outdone herself.
so kind of like have the color coding and then put them
Yeah,
in Saima's
yeah.
human. Okay, got it.
Simon's on a complete replica of her. I want to see it one more time, just for let's see it. I love it. Like that. Just like that. The model over there. Oh, we got this is perfection. I love it. Then you're just gonna where? Because it could be in your heart space, right? Or it could be that, oh, that feels in my head, like I can't get out of my head there. Or when I felt that, I got like tingles at my legs. Or do you know what I mean? And like you want to feel where it's just coming up within the body. And it might be that your body actually doesn't mean anything. It might be just that you start writing around the outside of your body and it's all in the outside. But it's just the idea that your body, is part of this money story, that we store it within the body, you know, that we can contract and we can feel that heart-led expansion. Does that make sense? Right, gorge. So get yourself comfortable. Get yourself where you want it to be. Feel if you need a wee or you might need something else, feel free to go and do that. And yeah, we're just going to be with some interesting money statements. There's going to be some grounded ones. There's going to be some out there ones. Okay. Are we ready? Yeah. Yes. Great. Okay, so the first statement I'd love you just to be with, and you might want to, if you hear it, you might want to close your eyes and just notice it. So let's just get into that position, and then you'll flow and then you'll come back. So when you finish writing and putting it on your body or around your body, just come back into the body and be with the body again. Okay. So the first statement is, I just get paid for being me. I just get paid for being me. Yeah. And then when you're complete, you just come back to the body again and sit with that. Yeah. I trust money to show up even before I know how. I trust money to show up even before I know how. Yeah. And leading on from that, money responds to my presence, not my pressure. Money responds to my presence, not my pressure. Yes, presence to your presence without pressure. How does that feel? People love paying me. People love paying me. Yeah. Money actually flows to me while I rest, play, and mother. Money actually flows to me while I rest, I play, and I mother. Yeah, right here with you. And just go gently with yourself and allow that tending to the body if you need, moving, knowing that this is an invitation, you can pause at any time. Yeah. And you know, there is no rush. I'm in a long term relationship with money. There's no rush. I'm in a long term relationship with money. Yeah. And wealth makes me so generous. Wealth makes me so generous, not less. It makes me generous having wealth. I'm actually available to receive £10,000 or whatever currency you work in, or any money terms that you'd like to insert there that feels abundant or overly stretchy to you. I'm available to receive thousands this month. I am available to receive thousands this month. Available to receive. We're going to do two more and see what comes up. Two more. It's safe for me to have more than just enough money. It's actually safe for me to have more than just enough money. And last one is, I don't have any shame around what I desire. I don't have any shame around what I desire. Yeah. And invitation is to stand up if it feels welcome, no rush to do so, and feel yourself just rooted on the earth. Maybe you need to move the body. Maybe you need to shake the body. Maybe you need to keep writing. Maybe you need a wee. Maybe you need a tea. Whatever feels. Yeah. And just starting to feel yourself on the floor, feeling the feet on the floor, Mother Earth holding you from below. And maybe you want to shake, maybe you want to move, maybe you want to stretch, maybe you just want to be in stillness and just feel the floor below. Notice the body. Notice if anything needs tending, moving. Yeah, really lovely unraveling there, Simon. Just really giving yourself what you need. And just as you're here and moving the body and being in this space, what would you do to feel more supported right now? As you're here right now, standing or sitting, what would you do to feel more supported right now? What could you do? And just notice that support when you find it. Bend to the body if you find that support and acknowledge it. That practice of what could I do to be more supported right now, right this second? Yeah, and just notice maybe there's more movement for you, more shaking, more noise, maybe there's pausing. Yeah, and just begin to make your way back. There's no rush to do so. Just find yourself back in the space, back with your notes. And we're going to invite in some shares. I want this to feel like this space of just sharing whatever's there, whatever came up with those statements or whatever stories are there. Maybe there's a story you want to share, maybe there's nothing that you want to share. But I want to invite in some time. So if we have 5 minutes each, that would give us a good amount of time. We can be with reflections. It might go over slightly 5 minutes, but that will keep us within our time limit of 11. So has anybody got anything or anybody would like to share what was coming up in the body, mapping that? Maybe there were sensations or feelings or thoughts, and anyone like to share and be with those initial 5 minutes? No pressure, but to be witnessed. Great, thanks, Lubna.
So I love that exercise. It was awesome. Thanks, Naomi. This is what it looked like for me. A bit of a just an architecture of design. I don't know. I kind of went a bit crazy, but yeah, I noticed that I have a bit of maybe an expansion mindset when it comes to money. And I feel very lucky that I have that. because having grown up with parents that have very different attitudes towards money, I picked up on the parent that had an expansive one, which is helpful. And yeah, I think the only one that I feel like I need to do a bit more work on is the fifth one that you said, money actually flows to me while I rest, play, and I mother, which is something that I have been working on recently, only like 2 months ago when I launched my page. And I actually do now kind of make money from just sharing what I do as a day-to-day I do with my children. But that's kind of more like, yeah, it's helping me reach there. I want to actually be doing that like more. And I feel like I started, but it's not quite there yet because I have making money historically for me always meant that I do not rest. I'm always working, and being an architect and a director in a company is like you need to do hard work to make money. So that shift actually happened when I had my first child, and I kind of like realized that actually I need boundaries, and even with these boundaries, I'm gonna make money, even if people are not happy of how I show up. And that was very kind of a beautiful release because actually people respected me even more that I found my boundaries in staying with my children, and opportunities are coming to me in that way. Like I feel very lucky that I have all these avenues that I can look at, not necessarily all of them that come from a place of of what I desire specifically, but it's beautiful to see that people want to work with me and want to pay for my childcare and want to pay for these things for me to be there. And I feel very happy about that. But at the same time, they want me so much in their team that I'm not too sure that I want to be doing that work. So I'm trying to find uh, joy in doing business development, which is what I do in architecture. And I realized that actually I do enjoy negotiation a lot. So I'm trying to see what lights me up in the parallel works that I'll have to do in order to grow making money while I rest, play, and mother. There you go. That's my share.
I'm wondering, Lubna, if there's anything that might reaffirm for you that you make money while you rest, play, and mother, or could, or already does, or could in the future reaffirm that for you.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that because it's like kind of this the same thing that you're saying, Naomi. Is like you kind of maybe, I don't know, sometimes it makes me cringe, all these websites that say, oh, money flows abundantly, 6 figure, 7 figure. It's like there's a bit of a funny thing for me. Like I can tap into that energy, but at the same time, I'm like, actually, do I really want 7 figures? What wealth means to me is different than the figures, and I'm realizing that more and more that wealth means for me community, having people I love around me, having surf, waking up in the morning and looking at the ocean, meditating, hugging my children, having so they can have their body expansion through nature. This is for me what means wealth. And I can merge both easily, but actually for me, the what my children need in terms of expanding their bodies and their souls and their creativity is much way more important than making 7 figures, if you know what I mean. So, and also for me, a last share, maybe I'm sharing too much, but what I'm struggling with with the kind of, and I'm hearing so many stories. I heard a story the other day that was fucking crazy about a device called Healy. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but I really struggle with making money without making a change in the world. I need to be vocal about what I believe in. And I struggle that people that make lots of money have to be silenced because they work for pharma or they work for I find that very hard. And I want to actually challenge that and be myself and talk about the 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 things that I don't agree with in life, which is mainly what's happening in Gaza. Yeah, I want that to be okay. And actually even more like than people that have to silence themselves. But it's a threshold that it's a bit hard maybe to reach because of how the world is organized. But that's my share. I'm stopping here.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. I have heard of Healy, have thoughts around, yeah, challenges in my own head around, those kind of, well, they don't call them pyramid schemes, but they are, aren't they? They are a pyramid scheme of sorts. But apparently they've been around for ages. So I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts around that. Also, somebody who makes seven figures, or at least says they make seven figures, which is another thing that I've definitely noticed, is that they'll say to you, Lubna, well, you can have both. You can have the wealth of being with your children uh and waking up with the ocean and hugging your children, and you can have seven figures. You can have both. That's what they might share and reflect back to you. Why not have both? And I think that's then a process to be with as well. I certainly don't have seven figures, so I'm not sharing from that space, Lubna. But I am sharing from the perspective of having worked with not a coach that was talking about seven figures as such, but it's almost like me going, but I just want community. But okay, but you also need to have enough money to feel like you're not constantly looking for money as well. And it's always this like there is like a big line, isn't there? It's like, well, it doesn't need to be seven figures necessarily. Okay, well, what would it look like if it was seven figures? But it also doesn't need to be where I'm struggling either. And how do we, and I think that's what you're speaking to, is how do we create community and still have enough financial wealth where we feel held in that, right?
I want to just touch one more thing about community, and this is something that I've noticed by listening to a lot of people that are wealthy and what relates to me as a person. And wealth for me equals community. Like I know that. And it was reaffirmed when funnily enough, I listened to one of the launching of this. I don't know if you heard of this person on Instagram. Her name is Jessica Zweig, something like that. And she has this huge, beautiful brand. She really brands herself as a goddess, and I fucking loved her energy. I was like, put your crown, be out there, sell your shit. You can be like that. And I love the energy about people. I know that they get criticized a lot, but when she talked, there was something about her that was so magnetic and so beautiful and so real. And she was talking about how she went to temples in Egypt and about how wealth were with these goddesses, Isis, and yes, they were in the hands of women. And that resonated so much with me because she said something like, when you unite women and they collaborate with each other and then there's the spiral that cannot be stopped and there's more money that is going to be created. And I really resonated with that so much that I wanted to do her master's. She was launching like a master's in an MBA, a feminine empowerment MBA. And I was like, yeah, Johnny, can we find the money so I can do that? Like, please. And he's like, Livy, you know what? Let's just like think of, other priorities and then maybe you can do it. But I loved her. I just loved her vibe. And it didn't seem like she was like the Healy pyramid thing. it was more like the kind of she wants women in her network to grow so she can grow. And I love this kind of mentality. I'll share her thing, Jessica.
And I think that's Sarah wrote a question there, Lubna, like, is there shame around the seven figures? Because that is it, isn't it? It's like, okay, where does it stem from this? Well, I don't need the seven figures, where does that actually stem from? Um, and what comes up around the seven figures. Definitely have been on a journey with unpicking this myself around welcoming that. So yeah, there was a question in the questions around money. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one around that, like, oh, where we she oh, I have no shame in what I desire. Not necessarily saying that your desire is seven figures, but is there shame around having desire at all around like abundance in some level, whatever abundance looks like for you? Amazing. Anybody else happy to share from there? Oh, Carla, go ahead.
I have to go after Lubna because it's always like a very similar way of thinking. So I look like this. Basically, I feel like I have a mix of tension and desire sort of relationship to money. As I was saying earlier, I think it stems from the fact that when you're a creative, I feel like it's how you perceive the world, how you engage with the world. And to monetize that, sometimes it eats away at your core in a way, like you feel that you have to conform to certain, expectations or briefs or ways or and to attach this sort of I'm talking now purely on a like philosophical way. Doing what I love to earn a living is in a way a blessing, but in other ways I felt has created a lot of tension for me. Because at times I felt like my wants were eroded, to the benefit of the client or to, an institution I was affiliated with or an exhibition I needed to be part of, or just ego, wanting to belong, wanting to expand my career, wanting, to grow into some certain successful milestones that are predetermined. And so this always was a cause of tension because I wanted to prosper and to keep growing my career, but at times I felt like kind of like I was going in the opposite direction of how I would want to do things if I was not too attached to this success and like commoditization of my talents in a way. Enter motherhood, and this took a whole different spin because I feel like, as Luby was saying, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or a conditioning thing, but this notion of, productivity, value, financial stability is way too intertwined. It's a bit difficult to kind of see clearly and kind of strip away from what's essential. And, the more you succeed, the more people solicit you, the more you want to do things. And then again, burnout, wanting to put boundaries, wanting to say, I'm not going to take all of these projects. I need to say no. I need to be empowered to say this doesn't work for me, or I want to have time off. With my first son, I was working, he was 2 months old. This time I really decided that I was taking some time off, and I really did. So I've just recently started taking projects again. This group has helped a lot also, as I was saying earlier. But there is kind of like a very cerebral and a very, like, if you look at the drawing, I felt things in my gut and I felt them in my head, and it kind of like spirals in my head. And the expansion and desire was to align both somehow. So my head kind of knows what I should be doing. My gut is like the preconditioning, the cultural ingrainment, all of these things, the fear of, walking into the unknown, of, setting life on my own terms, putting my own conditions. And the true expansion and desire comes from kind of bridging both. It's kind of like they were working a bit separately, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was interesting to see it on paper.
Yeah, what do you think, Carla, you need if you were completely supported completely and utterly supported, what is it that your heart is desiring for you to do you think?
That's basically, I think, like you were saying earlier, and Nubi was saying, wealth looks different to a great many people. You know, we want to, it's easier if it's standardized because then people can sell you bullshit solutions or, you know, create a life or expectations that you must attain, you know, but does that really stem from a place of true fulfillment, true purpose? I'm also very purpose driven. I feel like, you know, as maybe a very sensitive person, and I relate entirely to what Lubna was saying about, you know, the injustice in the world and having these negative also money associations, because money, power, leadership is just so corrupt. It's just so unfair. It's just so disgusting, truly, when you look at the geopolitics and the world we're in today, that you really want to see how you could channel this into like a positive association. Why aren't we seeing people who are able, you know, to ascertain that, you know, yes, this is my wealth, this is my contribution to the world. I know how to stand for what's right. I know, you know, I feel like, you know, I don't know whether it's social media and just touching at basic human nature, and also, you know, a context of, you know, inflation and difficulty in world that is kind of making a combination of factors where we're only driven by a certain status and not so much by a pursuit of some sort of, you know, expansion or enlightenment. And we've basically rendered money as an ultimate destination instead of a means. So I guess this is what I feel we constantly need to remind ourselves. We're earning this money for so and so. We're not doing this to get money, you know. I don't know if this is clear what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, I do feel also, I mean, I don't know if you guys feel it as well, but since COVID, I have a feeling that the world has become way more polarized in a way, you know, and every catastrophe or thing that we're living through, you kind of immediately see the like-minded people gravitate towards similar thematics and belongings, you know, in their lecture of the world. It scares me somehow, you know. I feel like money can become a very dangerous weapon in that sense, especially when people become stuck in the echo chambers, and there can be very positive echo chambers, but it's still an echo chamber. That we refuse to just lend an ear and try to see what the other perspective is in order to reach, you know, an understanding. It becomes just like, oh, I can't share, you know, a world with these people. I want to do my own thing, and, you know, these other people will do their own thing, and it just like creates a lot of anxiety, and it's all driven by, you know, this world power and money as an overarching theme, let's say. I'm rambling on, but I guess it's pretty clear what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is. And there is a recent post that went viral. There's a couple of women that they run this account called Everyday Racism. I don't know whether you follow it, but they live in my town, Naomi and Natalie, and they were sharing this. I found it fascinating, this reel around how, like, you know, the amount of wealth that billionaires have is like the equating to how much wealth exists in the whole world. It was like, it blew my mind, the stat. And I hear what you're saying, and it's how do we find wealth for ourselves in a world where wealth is weaponized in a way that's not in alignment with our beliefs and our needs within our own communities and our own homes? And I'm really hearing you, Carla. And it's so messy and it's so challenging. And it's so necessary as well, right? To be doing and talking about it, and to be talking about how we mother from that space of acknowledgement that we can create, and how do we create first. So there's a really good I did a webinar recently with someone, and she said something, and I was like, her name is Boss Babe, like on Instagram account, an Instagram account, Boss Babe. I don't know if you've come across it. Anyway, I love her. She's just very British and Northern, and I love it. But you know, she talks about how hard work doesn't work, right? And it's reverse engineering from the result that you want. So we're reverse engineering from that result that you're talking to there, Carla. But there was this question that she said. It's It'll come to me. We'll have another share and then I'll find it. But it will come back. Then it's written here. But also she said a really lovely line that she always says all the time, which is if you're not consciously creating it, you're unconsciously accepting it. So when you were saying about you know, everything that's happening, especially since COVID and what you're noticing, it's like, well, where are we accepting that, and where are we and where are we creating so that we're not so we're you know, if you're not consciously creating it, if you're not consciously creating it and making the change, then you're unconsciously accepting it. And obviously I do hear what you're saying around like echo chambers and that kind of thing. It can be really, really challenging when you're in that echo chamber. And we have to be able to branch out from that, which is really hard. We have to have difficult and challenging conversations to understand other perspectives and see where everyone else is coming from. But we really also have to make that change. And what does that change look like from within our values and within our in our needs, basically in our homes? And I'm just really witnessing you in all of those shares. And thank you so much for engaging with it and noticing that there's this marrying up that's going to happen over time, Carla. That it will marry up, it will come. The more that you tend to yourself, I feel, the more that we tend to ourselves and our nervous systems and our acknowledgement, and the more that we tend to our anger and our fucking rage, actually, at the world that is, and be like, no, I'm not fucking accepting that. The more that it will come. Thank you so much, Carla. Anyone else like to share?
I like to share.
Yes, Natalie something, Anna Maria, you're right, Natalie.
Yeah, I just checked. I'm Natalie. Yeah, on Instagram.
That's it. Yeah, and then Boss Babe.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I certainly looking at the map I did, there is more desire, some expansion and some tension. And over the years, I have certainly healed a lot of my money beliefs and stories, but I come from a very, very strongly lack mindset. And a culture that loves to struggle and wear it as a badge of honor. So that is one part of it. And the other part is that my country was under Russian oppression for decades. And so it was 89. I was like, 6 years old when the revolution happened. And after that, things got privatized and a lot of people became very rich very quickly. And so the other narrative I've been carrying is that people who are rich or who have money are cheaters or liars or bad people. So enter my life. It's a combination of that. So I've been struggling, or I used to struggle with, if I'm spiritual, if I want to help others, I can't make money because I have to give it away for free, or I have to make it so accessible that that is the only true honorable way of giving and servicing. And the other part is that the more I struggle, the more honorable I am, right? So when it comes to money, then it shows my own bank account. And I think that even though I've healed a lot of that, the past, this whole genocide is just reawakened my my story about how those who have a lot of money are not good. And what I've been trying to build my mindset, and not just my mind, but my body, how I feel about money, how it makes me feel, how safe or unsafe I feel about it, is that I can make a difference when I have more money. The more money I have, the more good I can create in the world. The more money I have, the more I can fill up my cup so I can give from the overflow and not empty my cup in order to give to others, because there is difference, right? So that's what I am building up and have been building up for myself. Sometimes it's coming from grace. Sometimes it's coming from the rage of how things are right now in the world. And I'm going to show them, I'm going to make the difference. And yeah. I think that's that. Yeah. But definitely it's a journey still for me.
Anna, can I say something on the on I love how you've seen how the patterns come from when you're young, basically. And I did a lot of work to come to peace with people that make a lot of money, um, that have been silent. Like I have been trying to reframe a little bit my anger towards like seeing the good they do in the world. And there's a few I don't know if I'm making any sense, but there's a few kind of causes. For example, Free Birth Society for me, like I'm a free birther, Simon must know them. Um, they are very much like privileged, like a complete privilege. And for me, like I struggle with that. But then I also see how amazing the work that they have launched and they're doing is to the world and how much they so I really respect them in that sense a lot. I wouldn't like associate myself with them and like idolize them, but I feel like they have done so much good to reset the birth world in terms of like how it has been medicalized, and they kind of like did bang, no, we can free birth, we can do that, you know. And I really respect that, and I started to you know, to see that actually you cannot like, people do not have the attention to these sensitive things, you know. Not everyone has the attention to care about these things, you know, and they don't need to because their lives are so removed. And actually, you know, if you think of it, before internet, we wouldn't have known of all of these things. So it's very new to be able to digest all this information. So I had to like be at peace with it. And another person that I really admire that makes a lot of money is Stephen Bartlett, because he's someone that, okay, he's working with all these companies and everything, but the information he's putting out there is to make people better people. And okay, some of his stuff is very biased, but that's, anyway, I don't know if it's helpful, but that's my way of kind of seeing that actually people that do not see the kind of the lowest and lowest and lowest can
Yeah,
still
yeah,
do a
yeah,
beautiful change.
yeah. And yeah, it makes sense. And seeing the nuance, like as you were talking, I remember that I think we want to put people into boxes and categorize them. And if you come from a culture where struggle is the highest level of honor, then people who are poor or give away things for free are the honorable ones, right? And whoever dares to charge for their services are the devil. But a doctor who makes life saving brain surgery ask for millions, you don't say a word that's life saving. But if you are a coach or a healer or someone who dares to ask money, there is this bias towards. And or with the 5Ks, the 10Ks, the seven figures, I think these words or these these words have, for me personally, I've been listening to these coaches or see these coaches so much that the word seven figure, 5 figure, that doesn't even mean anything to me anymore, because it's just so what's the word? I don't know, I just forgot the word, but what I'm trying to say is that there is so much nuance in wealth and making money and how you use the money and what you offer and how you charge for your services, that I think that we need to allow each other to be human and not to put each other categories. Oh, she's making now 5 figures. She's just now, yeah, let's just forget about her. Or she's doing everything for free. She's the best. So like, you know, like it's life. You need to pay your bills. You need to be able to show up 100%. And if I want to show up for 100%, then I need to not be 24/7 worrying about money. how I'm going to pay my bills. Can I give groceries? Can I cook healthy food for my son? Can I get the fucking massage? Can I go for a holiday? Or am I just going to be worrying about money all the time because that's going to be make me honorable? So yeah, that's thank you. Yeah.
But also, this is exactly it. It's like you can have seven figures and you can be burning those seven figures, right? Seven figures to one person means nothing to another person. That's exactly it, Anna Maria. I mean, like, because I have these conversations, I'm like, I want to know, I want to know, I want the nitty-gritty, you know? And I was sitting with this woman the other day, she's like, oh, I shouldn't talk money, but you know, my husband makes this. And I was like, fuck, you what? And then she's always from a lack. She's always saying she doesn't have enough money. Every time I see her, and I'm like, fuck, babe, you make 3 times what my husband makes, right? So that's where I'm like, there's no context in that, is there? Um, and when you're talking about, well, what do I need? What do I need in order to have the fucking massage and be able to like look after myself and also be able to survive and not have to constantly think about money? I always come back to this one woman who I find fascinating, who I met. And she's written a book, Yoni Shakti. Do you know the yoga teacher? Oh, what's her name? It's because I'm on day 3 of my period and I literally have no brain. She wrote Yoni Shakti and she's an amazing yoga teacher. And she was being sued by the publishers of the Yoni Shakti when she did the revised edition because she shared that some of the yoga societies are a bit rapey. And she had like grounding in it and she wrote it in the book, but they went to sue her. The publishers washed their hands of it and were like, oh no, we're not getting involved. But then on top of that, she also didn't have money. Like she just wasn't, she hasn't ever over the years been making money, but she's been in this world for years. So she's a proper like crone energy, like amazing yoga teacher, but she didn't have enough money and everybody had to crowd around her and save her house. Right? Like they had to save her house and her home, which they did. They raised like thousands. Like someone basically put a crowdfunder. Yeah, Uma. So they put a crowdfunder together to save Uma's house and home. And they did, and they saved it, and they gave her that. But she shouldn't have had to ask for that. She shouldn't have been in a position where she was about to lose her home after doing all this amazing work for people for years, you know. And so I always think about that, and I think, God, like I want the community, which is what she's definitely created, and I also want to be able to, you know, be the voice for whatever for this work. But I don't want to be. I don't want to be losing my house and my home over it, and like not have that as a so where you know it's all of this conversation. Thank you, Anna Maria. Mic dropping that. Appreciate it. If you do need to go, please do, but I want to make sure that we've had from everyone because it's so juicy and so useful. So Noor and Simon, there's no pressure, but if you would like to share, please do.
My drawing,
Love it. You've outdone yourself. I love it.
especially the face with the tension.
Love it. Love it.
I love that you felt some things in your hair as well.
I was like, my hair is getting bigger. I've done quite a lot of money work. I think it was Lubna was saying, like 2 parents who have very different money beliefs, but I took the more scarcity-minded parents' beliefs, and I thought my mum was like crazy, basically, and she's still extremely abundant by doing nothing, and money just flows to her. She never looks at any labels. She has no idea how much money is in her bank account. She gives money freely to everyone without even like knowing who they are. And I, you know, my dad and me and we're like, people are stealing from her and like, you know, but more just comes. So it's fascinating to watch. And then you're like, this is so, you know, you're like, this is so wrong. This makes no sense. So it's very interesting. Yeah, my money heritage. And my parents have now like separated their finances. So that's also quite funny to see. Um, yeah, and some of the things, there were some things I feel quite good about from the list that I was like, oh, I don't need to, like, I was actually like, maybe in the list, we actually need like what feels good and like what feels like we've already got that. Because I was like, oh, it's not like I desire this, I already have this belief for quite a few of them. but the one that made my mouth go was I'm able to receive £100,000 this month. And it's funny because I've been wanting to have a six-figure year for at least 2 years now. But I can see now that like my body is like, oh my God, six figures. Like, what would I even do? How would I handle it? What would like, you know, it's almost like it's still like the money is a problem. Like too much money is a problem. Um, so that was quite interesting. And I broke it down actually. Then I was like, because 10,000 felt quite comfortable. I've had five-figure months before. So I was like worked out. I was like 40,000 at the moment seems to be my monthly limit. So that was interesting to just like work out exactly. I wonder if I could even further break that down of like how many is it? And since becoming a mother, I haven't had like the same income that I had before, and I'm wondering what that's like. Is that a belief issue? Is that like there's definitely like so much less time. I used to work like all hours on my business, and now I have very limited hours. So that's what I've kind of put it down to. Um, yeah, I did join a big business mastermind last year. So I invested basically like all of my income, all of my profit into this business mastermind last year. And it was a big stretch to do it, but I knew I needed to like go to the next level with my development. Um, but it took me like a good couple of weeks to like say yes to it. And that coach talks about how you can't create a product of that level until you've paid for a product of that level. So I was like, oh, if I'm going to have a mastermind one day, then I need to have invested into a mastermind myself. And so, yeah, there's another few months left of the year. And I'm like, oh, am I going to join it again? And how am I going to find the money this time? And I haven't seen I think I've grown in a lot of ways from joining it, but I haven't seen the financial change from investing in it yet. So I'm also like, was it a mistake? And like doubt, I guess like trying to limit myself, right, to like the previous. I would love to be like, oh, I'm going to invest in an even bigger mastermind this year, and next year I'm going to invest in an even bigger mastermind, and my revenue is going to keep like skyrocketing. And but I haven't seen that, and I'm like, again, is that something that I'm doing? And my most recent launch was probably less successful than some of my previous launches before. So I'm also like, oh my God, I'm even doing worse since I joined this membership, since I joined this mastermind. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, some level of like trusting the process. And yeah, I'm cautious also about the money beliefs that I instill in my daughter, and I want us to make sure we're talking very positively about money that's available. And a lot of the things you listed. My partner is a lot more scarcity minded and a bit like quite realistic, and he doesn't believe in all of the money mindset work. He thinks it's all like rubbish, and we've had arguments about it in the past. But I find it's quite helpful for me, and I think in a way he maybe has some mindset because he's had quite consistent income. We don't share any income, so I all of my income is mine and all of his is his. So we don't share any, like we have a joint account that we both pay for shopping and for our daughter, but we don't share money. So that's also interesting, as we've kind of built our relationship. But I feel like I've talked loads. So yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, and I think what I'm interested is when you said about the statements and you said, well, I felt like there needed to be more positive ones. It's interesting because when we're reading those statements, it's how it lands in the body, right? So it's like, some of those statements were like, there's no rush, I'm in a long-term relationship with money and those kind of things. I think overarchingly, they weren't to be taken negatively unless they kind of landed negatively. I'm wondering for you, did they feel like they felt to you negative overall?
I think that they didn't spark tension, desire, or expansion because I already am expanded and I don't desire them because I already have them. So it
Okay.
doesn't, it was basically like it wouldn't come up. So it was almost like re already received or so there's in a way they're so positive that and I feel good that I believe them. So like it's not a desire for me because I already
Because you
have
already
it.
have them. So what is it? Because yeah, we talk about this all the time, and like coaches will talk about that all the time, that we invest, and the more we invest, then we invest again, and then we invest higher and higher and higher and higher, and that's how we break through the glass ceilings of investing, right? And then making that profit back. So I'm wondering for you, when you're speaking to, oh, well, I launched that, and then that speak comes up around, oh, well, now I'm doing worse than before I started my amazing mastermind. Like, where is it for you? Do you think that there is this like kind of sticky point for you? Like, where do you think that might be coming from?
I think that the I just get paid for being me is quite an interesting one because I I think when I started out in my work, which is mainly around birth, it was really like very much like the center of my universe and I was really immersed in it. But now I'm not really in the same way. So I feel like I'm not, although I've set up this whole business around birth, I'm now in like a mothering stage. So I'm not currently feeling like I get paid to be me because I currently feel like I'm getting paid to be a birth worker. So, which I would love to be again, but I'm just like, it's not really right in the phase of my life that I'm in. So I'm trying to kind of, let my business flow into like the new place that I'm in, but it's also like a shedding of that and letting go of what's been successful in the past and all this like all the stuff about like staying in your niche and like a lot of business like methodology that I've learned along my journey. So how, am I going to confuse my audience? And is this actually going to, am I starting again from scratch? And is that something I want to do? And all of these kind of thoughts.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think that's so true. It's how our business flows with who we are at the core of it. And if there starts to feel that like push-pull, isn't it, that you described there, it's like, well, I'm a mother now. And birth work as such, as it was before, the way I was doing it doesn't work for me right now because of the season that I'm in. How do our businesses kind of grow with our seasons and move with our seasons with us at the same time building on what we've already created? That's such a hard one to navigate, but also so necessary and needed so that we can keep with that growth. Because I suppose as well, I don't know how it is for you right now, but how work feels for you and how your business feels for you, but it also has to feel like it's like there is that joy and pleasure within it as well, rather than it's like, oh, this is constantly going back to who I was. This isn't who I am now. This is not the joy and pleasure that I receive now. I find that for myself. That's why I share that. For me, it's like I'm always like dragging it. I'm like, come on, we're going this way now. And then it's like, oh, no one's ready for that. Oh, fuck's sake. Well, I am, and it's like that's where I'm finding the joy and pleasure. So yeah, I really hear you on that. Really hearing you on that.
Thanks, Naomi. Yeah, the shoulds, right? They show up a lot in that
Yeah, you
place.
should be niche. You should only speak to the audience that like, oh, okay. Okay.
I think, Saima, if I can say something that I kind of it's funny because I feel like the business that you've grown into is something that I'd love to grow into myself. And it was and not an advice, but someone said something sometimes a while that I saw a workshop. She said something that really resonated with me in terms of energy and let the flow energy in you. So when you have an idea, instead of like, yeah, like in terms of like, okay, you're doing this thing at the moment, which is a piece of art with your daughter, like really like let that energy flow so you can receive more and more ideas coming in. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it's just like, and this is the way I kind of thought I don't really want to niche myself into this specific thing because I free birthed my son like 6 months ago, and then after. I don't know, maybe I'll have another experience that I'd like to share with my community. And I don't want them to think that I'm only this free birth mama. I'm also a wife of my husband that I love. I'm also a keen artist. I want to sell my art at some point. I'm also an architect. I'm also a business development um, specialist in the field of architecture. I'm also, I also love singing. I want to be singing, like, and I feel like she basically said that she does everything that she like. I like cooking. I like doing kimchi. I like showing a video of me doing kimchi, like so yeah, I don't know if that lands well with you, but when I heard that frame of mind, I was like, yeah, why do I need to only be an architect? And why, yeah, it can change in different stages of my life where, I was an architect before and I was there walking with my suit and smashing it, but then I can't smash it anymore because I have a 6-month-old baby and I have to breastfeed. So I'm not like, yeah, it doesn't really work with me now, even though I love this era of just going out and having drinks with very rich clients and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I'm I don't, if it resonates.
I find it really interesting because Anna Maria was saying around how her business is its own soul and its own identity. And there's so many times I've sat with it and it's like I'm hearing what Sima you're saying around it and what Lubna is saying, or Anna Maria, you're all saying it's all the same thing. What we're saying here is like, do we keep morphing? Does our business keep morphing with us? And then we're almost sharing on a more personal level, right, as well, because it's kind of who we are as people behind the business, right? But also keeping it to the point where this is a business and I don't need to necessarily share the ins and outs. What I find really fascinating is that if I share the ins and outs of what I'm up to, then people engage more with the stuff. And we talked about this a lot. My friend and I talk about this. It's like if you share more about who you are and what you are right now, they generally then, as a byproduct, sometimes then purchase what you're actually sharing. We've been speaking a lot about that because she shares very beautiful photography and it's only the photography that she shares, but also she's now in a season of motherhood where she's now homeschooling and has 3 children and she hasn't ever spoken about that before. And when she shares it, she gets nervous around the sharing of that, which I totally get because it's not beautiful photography, but it's who she is. But then she gets more engagement as a result of it. So it's that kind of like push-pull energy for sure. Amazing. No, we're all here holding you with energy.
Yes. Yeah, buckle up for
Right.
what you're about to hear. So actually, it was funny hearing Anna Maria because I I resonate with this, and I've taken it to another level of it's not just about doing the righteous thing and the noble thing of not wanting to receive money. You're like, no, I don't want to get paid for doing good. Actually, I was so when I was employed, when I was working for a company and my salary would be late coming in to my account, I wouldn't mention it. I would feel like, yeah, no, I'm never asking the CEO for money. Or let's say we're planning an event at the office and the delivery comes in. So I pay for it and then I don't tell anyone. I'm like, okay, I'll cover it. And I used to make a very limited sum of money, but I would always feel like I don't want to ask anyone for money and I just want to pay everything and I just don't want to be in that position. So yeah, I wonder, I think I know where that comes from. So I think my mom has this lack mindset, the scarcity mindset, and it's been a little toxic recently. When I became a mother, I've been seeing it like magnified, and it's kind of affecting me a lot. It triggers me because for instance, she would always feel like she needs more. Even if she gets something, she needs more, or she looks at the cracks instead of looking at, the good parts or what she already has. And I funny thing is, I always feel like subconsciously, she would have wished that I, for instance, married a millionaire. You know what I mean? And I know if I interrogate her, she's gonna admit to that. So yeah, I sense that. Um,
So the weird thing is that money flows into my life. Like I'd find money in my pockets, in old wallets. Like I'd always find money. And I can't say work hasn't been well, or our side business doesn't is not doing well. It's just there's this thing where I don't know how to maintain it. Like it just disappears and I don't know where it went, and I don't do anything that pleasures me with it. Like just kind of dissolves. I know it goes, I know where it goes, but it's a weird feeling. Like why does it feel like there is no money? But I know there is money. Like on paper there is money, but where is it actually? Why can't I feel the pleasure of it? So I think that's what I've been working on recently. We did like an overhaul of our finances. We started managing everything. We want to see what's coming in, where is it going out. I think that's healthy, like the healthy first step to do, and I'm sure a lot will come up from that. So yeah, and definitely growing up, there was always the sense of lack and the sense of scarcity, the sense of there's not enough money. So my dad would always shift jobs around. Nothing is stable. My mom did not work. There was always this worry, like would we be able to pay tuition for school? Would we be able to join that school trip, to get new clothes and all of that? And I know I managed to get out of that in particular, but it's just the part where I feel the pleasure of it. I'm unable to feel that. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, really, really, I love that. I love that you're like, well, it's there and it's fine, but I don't feel the pleasure of it. What does that look like for me now? Oh, no, that's such a great next step to be able to feel the pleasure of it and how that happens. And you've had an overhaul, you can see where the money's coming in, you see where it's going out. And now you're like, I'm ready for the pleasure of that actually, which obviously, of course, stems from the fact that there wasn't pleasure in the home, where it was from that space. So it makes so much sense that you are on that next step, and you've clearly done a lot of fucking work to get to that point, coming from that space of lag, and then being like, oh, but it's not an issue. I find money it just comes to me, but I don't feel the pleasure of that. So it sounds like to me that it's now for you to feel about where the pleasure comes from. A really good something that I always do that I spoke to a coach about is that when money comes in, rather than it just go on like the mundane or everything that needs to happen, there's always a tiny bit, even if it's just like a coffee out, or even if it's just like, something really, really small, that it goes on pleasure. So whenever money comes in, there's a small amount, a little bit of it that goes on something pleasurable. And it always has to do that. You can't just be like, oh, I will do that, because you know it won't, it'll get lost. But it has to be some of it, something of it, whether it's a big part of it or a small part of it, has to go on pleasure so that you start to understand what the receiving of that money actually feels like. Does that make sense? No.
Yeah, perfect sense actually. Yeah. And I recently I did like this vision board of all the different aspects of my life, and how I'd like to envision them, where I'd like to work, what I'd like to receive in each aspect. And there's this part of little pleasures, and I haven't even looked at it yet. I wrote them down, but I I can't get myself to look at it and see what I've done from this or haven't done. And I think it's time for me to look into that, to that section, and yeah, like you said, to start doing. Exactly.
Oh, that's so great that you're already there.
Mm.
You're already on that step for sure. And Simon agrees, and says that she has the same challenge. I think a lot of us have that challenge if there has been that lack. So yeah, really just want to celebrate you, Noor, for that. And that was such a beautiful, yeah, eloquent share of what it is for you. I really, really loved that. More pleasure for you, welcoming in that and celebrating that for you. Oh, I love that. And Lumina says someone that she knows always puts money in their pocket so they can find it. So fun. My children find pounds around the house and they're like, they're mine. And then they just
And also, I heard of someone in a podcast that does he puts notes to himself like you're amazing in the pockets of his jackets, and I'm going to start doing that because I love it. I heard the podcast and I'm like, yeah, he does that, and it kind of boosts his Like he puts notes in his pocket or, in his car and he finds them and he's like, oh, so great that I wrote this to myself. I love it. Anyway, it's just an
I
idea.
love that. Yeah, we need more of that. Simon says, I set myself a challenge to have £200 in my wallet at all times. And also a minimum of 2,000. I think it does help when you have a certain amount in your bank account and you can see it there as a baseline. And having cash, I think, is very useful. A lot of practices and with the coach were always about like having physical cash. I used to joke that I just was like, I just sometimes just feel like I just want to shove notes down my non-existent bra that I never wear. And she's always like, well, get some notes and put them down your non-existent bra. It's like reminding us that the money is there, isn't it? It's like that reassurance. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you all so, so much. Sorry that it went over time, but it's just so useful to hear everybody's like experience and how there's mirrors and also something to grow towards as well. So yeah, I'm really, really welcoming in all of those thoughts and feelings and experiences and really holding them. I just find it really, really fascinating. Just like a money pajama party, jumping in the bed. Exactly that. That's my vision. Exactly that. It's what my children do when they get a bit of cash. They're buzzing. So we're really just gonna close. And if there's anything that you want to share more, please share in the WhatsApp group. I'll definitely be doing that moving forward and share our weekly videos in there. And we'll talk more about work and business as well. That's going to come up so we can be with that. And yeah, I'm just really here celebrating you. You know where I am. If anything's coming up or you want to share or you'd like something more from the space, please just email me. Yeah, great. So let's close. Let's just allow for the day to carry on. So finding that item that Lubna guided us with at the beginning, maybe you need to stand up, maybe you need to move, whatever feels really welcome to you. Yeah, and just finding it and noticing the breath, noticing where in the body there is this either expansion or contraction and just breathing into the body, breathing into whatever's there. Maybe eyes are closed, maybe they're with the object. And we're going to take deep inhale into the body, into the womb, the hara, softening onto the earth with an exhale. So taking in a breath into the body, exhaling out in your own time, letting go into the space, inhaling that support from the others in the space, and allowing the breath out of what no longer serves you, that's not your narrative. Final time, inhaling in and exhaling out. Really great. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, Simon. Thanks for all being here. Amazing. Normalizing the chat, here for it. Much love all. Sending a lovely, lovely, lovely vibes into your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
Naomi. Bye, Simon.